This is part 2 of the Abrahamic covenant. In part 1, we saw that Abraham made a covenant with God, and the covenant is that Abraham's descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky, and that they would inherit all of the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and the Lord would be their God. In part 2, we're going to introduce Isaac and Abimelech. So these are just foundations. In part 3, the progression of the covenant faces a major challenge. And so we're going to take a look at that. But for now, we are in chapter 17 and verse 15. We saw that Abram's name was changed to Abraham. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you'll call her name no longer Sarai, but Sarah. And I'll bless her, I'll give you a son of her, yea, I'll bless her. She'll be a mother of nations, kings of people shall be of her. Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100? And shall Sarah, who is 90, bear? And Abram said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. And God said, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son indeed, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I've heard you. I'm going to bless him, but my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto you. All right, so we see the promise of Isaac here, and the covenant he'll inherit the covenant. Okay, now, Abimelech. Let's see who this guy is. And Abraham journeyed from thence, which is the plains of Mamre, that is thence, toward the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. Okay, Gerar. Gerar is the capital of Philistia, which is pretty much the whole coastline. Gerar is located in the northern Gaza Strip. Okay, so it's exactly west of the Dead Sea. And so you have the Dead Sea, you have the Gaza Strip. If you draw an exact straight line, then that's Gerar. Like I said, it's about where Gaza City is today. In the middle of that line is Beersheba, which we're going to see later on. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, the king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said, Behold, you are but a dead man, for the woman which you've taken is another man's wife. But Abimelech did not come near her. And he said, Lord, will you slay also a righteous nation? Okay, so it's just really a flood of tears from Abimelech. We see that not much has changed. The Philistines are whiners. The people of the Gaza Strip today are whiners. Let's see. Verse 8 of 20. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, called all of his servants, told these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. Okay, so remember that. So he gives her back. Abimelech took sheep and oxen. This is verse 14 of 20. Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants and gave them to Abraham and restored Sarah his wife. And Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Okay, so Abraham prays to God for Abimelech. Abimelech's women begin having his children. And in the very next verse, we see chapter 21, and the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken, for Sarah conceived, and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time which God had spoken. Okay, and then Isaac was circumcised on the 8th day. Okay, so it's just an introduction, but everything that I've read here is important. Abraham says she's my sister. Abimelech takes Sarah, and God says, you're a dead man. He gives her back, along with sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants. And then he has children. Sarah has Isaac. So Abimelech having children, Sarah having Isaac, is placed together. And that is for a reason. We see the same phenomenon again in part 3. But that's all for part 2.